Remember when Star Trek trailers gave you goosebumps? When it wasn't about abs, drama, or awkward flirting, but about ideas, diplomacy, and the terrifying unknown? Well, your memory might be playing tricks on you. Legacy Trek definitely had its share of bad promos as well. That said, let's look at how far we've drifted and whether there's still something worth saving. Modern Starfleet Academy trailers lean hard on fast cuts, sexual tension, and youthful angst. There are explosions, makeouts, and mood lighting. Stack that next to the old TNG and DS9 promos, and the difference is jarring. In the late 80s and early 90s, Trek commercials promised high-concept morality plays. Sure, there were starship shots, but you'd also hear Picard delivering courtroom speeches, watch crew members face ethical dilemmas, and catch glimpses of sci-fi that made you want to think. Now compare that to Starfleet Academy's first teaser, a montage of moody teens set to a line about first loves. The tone lands somewhere between Riverdale and Roddenberry, and that's being generous. But here's the kicker. Legacy Trek didn't always get it right either. Honestly, some of it was even more cringe in hindsight. Take the infamous TNN rerun-era promo that basically said, "We'd all have sex with that Klingon with the big breasts."
Goodness me, I still can't believe these second quarter numbers for Next Generation. They're incredible.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Would you?
What?
You know.
No, I don't know.
A tasteless, frat-bait marketing swing that completely missed the point of Trek. It wasn't the norm, but it happened. And it wasn't alone. TNN leaned masculine, edgy, bro-humor energy. Most of their spots filled focus on upcoming episodes, highlighting things like Picard's speeches or starship action. But UPN? UPN might have been the worst. I vividly remember the promo, that I can't find, unfortunately, that showed half the crew dying, or at least inferring that they died. It wasn't the year of hell. It wasn't anything. It was literally pure bait and switch. So what's the difference? Well, there's two things, in my opinion. First, the Starfleet Academy team is clearly aiming for a younger audience, with different tastes. They're still trekking through the stars, sure, but it feels secondary. The vibe is pure 90210 in space. And yeah, that's mildly concerning. I don't agree with everything the hater channels scream about, but I'll admit, this show isn't being made for older Trek fans. Second, it's not Discovery-level tone deaf. At least we're not dealing with a metaphor where all Republicans are painted as bloodthirsty Klingons or Terran fascists. But it does seem to have some Discovery-era energy, which can be concerning. Luckily, it seems like most of the Discovery-era phase is over, though. So while I'm not thrilled with what we've seen, I'm not slamming the door shut. But I'll be watching critically. Now let me be fair. I think there's a decent premise underneath the marketing. An academy in the 32nd century has real potential, especially with Federation ideals rebuilding. This is set after the burn. Presumably, Earth has finally rejoined the Federation. They are slowly becoming a powerful entity in the galaxy again politically. Starfleet Academy is back on Earth, its original homesake. This has a lot of potential. It's like the original series meets the future. There are a lot of things you could do with that. But right now, as I've kind of stated, it looks like Star Trek Euphoria. I don't see intellectual ambition. I see interpersonal drama and visual polish. I don't see a return to ethics and science. I see market-tested tropes dressed up in Starfleet uniforms. And I get it. They want to bring in a younger audience, but it feels like they've mistaken youth for shallowness. I'm not writing it off completely, but based on what they've shown, I'm not excited either. I'll be honest, if I weren't running a Trek channel that daylights as a lore channel, researching canon, and engaging with decades of continuity, I probably wouldn't watch Starfleet Academy. But I wouldn't be watching it for the reasons you think. Most of these reasons I see in comment sections and on fandom menace-style channels are honestly silly. They lack substance. It's going to be woke. It's going to have girl bosses. It's going to be filled with same-sex couples trying to make my kids love Queer Eye for the straight guy. The truth is, we don't know what it's going to be. We haven't seen it. You can't make those arguments. Not yet. You can be suspicious, and I'll talk more about that in later chapters, but right now, those talking points are premature. And some of them just flat out bad faith arguments. Take the female Jem'Hadar backlash. Everyone, and their mother, seem to be losing it over one line in one episode in DS9. Just one. That's ironic because the same critics conveniently ignore all the similar moments in Legacy Trek. For example, in The Samaritan Snare, TNG Season 2, Wesley and Picard casually mention that Klingons are a part of the Federation, a statement that contradicts large portions of the canon, especially 3 episodes later. In The Muse, DS9 Season 4, Dax and Sisko seem elated that a man is pregnant, with zero cultural pushback. In Unexpected, Enterprise Season 1, Tucker is drugged, he is then impregnated, and when he tells his friends and shipmates, he is mocked, especially by T'Pol. The victim of assault is treated like the punchline. That's from the good old days. Remember? These tonal misfires and canon inconsistencies have always been around, and no one flips the table over them anymore. Now, with the female Jem'Hadar, all we know is she's half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon. That's it. There's no background, no behavior, no ideology. Not yet. And we have every reason to believe that the Jem'Hadar would either be freed and allowed to make female Jem'Hadar, or at least propagate their race. Unless you want to trash Odo's character arc. Because remember, by the end of DS9, Odo was becoming a prominent leader within the Dominion. One who would openly oppose the use of slave races. In Treachery, Faith, and the Great River, DS9 episode Season 7, he's crystal clear about that. So if this female Jem'Hadar is a product of a post-war change, or even a new kind of Dominion, it actually makes sense. And that's worth at least hearing out. Do bad faith actors exist? Yeah, and unfortunately a lot of the Jem'Hadar backlash is either from people acting in bad faith, or people parroting those arguments without actually looking up a single reference. Now let me be clear, none of that means Starfleet Academy gets a free pass. Because here's the thing, I still don't like what I'm seeing either. Not because I hate the idea, not because I fear change, but because the marketing has given me no reason to care. It hasn't promised me exploration. It hasn't offered philosophy. It's offered me a mood, and a bland one at that. This isn't gatekeeping on my side, by the way. I believe Star Trek should evolve, but I also believe it needs to remember what it is, or what it was. And right now, for me, if I weren't covering Trek lore, I'd be skipping it, plain and simple. I could be wrong, and I hope I am, but that's where I stand. In the end, we don't really know anything about the show yet. So the question becomes, should we give Paramount, soon to be Skydance, the benefit of the doubt? That's the real tension, isn't it? Paramount has made moves that deserve credit. Lower Decks found its voice. Strange New Worlds struck a chord with many fans. Even the animated crossover between S&W and Lower Decks was a pleasant surprise. And yes, even in Star Trek Discovery, there were moments that felt like they mattered. Like when Burnham chooses to save the Romulans and Vulcans instead of protecting Starfleet's own interests. That moment said something. But for every step forward, there have been just as many stumbles. Season 1 and 2 of Discovery were painful, not just narratively, but in how they split the fandom. The fallout from that is still with us. You can feel it in every comment section. You can feel it in how people approach every new Trek show. With hesitation, with frustration, and sometimes with outright resentment. That division still defines parts of the conversation today. And even if you only count the successes, if we ignore everything that happened with Discovery, goodwill isn't a blank check. Every new series has to earn its place. Starfleet Academy is being marketed with nostalgia cameos and teen drama vibes. That's not trust, that's bait. If they surprise us, great. I'll be the first to admit it. Nothing would make me happier than being wrong in the best possible way. But if they've forgotten what Starfleet means, what Trek means, then maybe it's not the franchise that's out of touch. Maybe it's our goodwill that needs to run out.